This is Elliott Serrano and Jose Melendez coming to you from Dreamland Comics in Schaumburg, Illinois. Thank you for joining us here yet again on CCW TV, the Comic Culture Warrior video channel. And we are now at the part that we call Last Rants. And Last Rants is when Jose and I talk about something, that kind of pissed us off or irked us. Or, in this case, talk about how we were right. We were right. Well, or we were like Jor-El before the Science Council, or after the planet blows up. If Jor-El was able to stand before the Science Council, even though they all died when Krypton blew up, you go, in your face, But too bad Jor-El was never able to do that. What has been the topic of discussion in comics over the last week or so? Last month? Yeah,
because it actually started with that open letter or that review that Kirkman did in GQ.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It started there.
Yeah.
It started there because he called out the same people.
Yeah.
And then, a couple weeks after that, some private messages got out.
Right.
That were public or private comments that were made on a private message board that were made public.
And the person who made them public did edit out the name, but then they forgot to pull out one particular aspect that kind of outed the person who made them.
And then shortly then after, Kurt Busiek said on Twitter,
it was me.
Yeah, it was me.
Okay, so what were the comments in general? I mean, and how does it relate to what we've been saying here? The going theme, for those of you who watch this show, you can kind of tell we're not crazy about what's been going on in comic books, or at least in mainstream comic books for a while.
Mainstream comics.
Right.
That's
between Civil War and Secret Invasion, we fell out of what was happening in superhero comics in general. We felt was falling out of favor with us. The kind of things that were going on in the Ultimate books when Mark Millar and Jeff Loeb, kind of took over the ship. A lot of things that were going on at DC. What we saw with the Speedy book or the Arsenal book with Cry for Justice and a lot of, what we were calling tragedy porn. When it's just Jose and I in a comic shop, I mean, we've heard the comments. I mean, we've read the comments, and we've also read the comments about our show on other message boards where we're just two angry comic book nerds who, we're told that I've read one particular comment who said that we were two untalented folks who were criticizing those with talent. That because we can't write comic books, we're going to make fun, we're going to criticize.
Even though one of us does.
Even though I do write comics, and even though Jose, I think, has a very valid opinion on comics and has a very good ear for dialogue and plot and just taking a story apart. But still, because we're not names in the industry, we really can't say anything, or we're really not entitled to our opinions. So,
I mean, for those people who actually think that way, fuck you.
Guys, let us read the words of Mr. Busiek that were put out on that private board. I go through the comps comics that Steve gets from DC, Brian, and in my opinion, the superhero comics are pretty awful. There's no plot, bad continuity, and lots of fight scenes and empty calories. I don't know what the editors do, but they certainly don't edit the awful scripting and storytelling, and I won't even mention the giant-breasted, meagerly clothed superheroines. What I've seen of Marvel, though, I don't see much of Marvel since I get no comps, looks like more of the same. I must say that Vertigo is an exception with quite a few readable books. I think either we've been channeling Kurt Busiek all this time, or he's channeling us, or we're just on the same plane when it comes to opinions on the industry. I mean, we're always lauding the Vertigo books. Mm-hmm. We've talked a lot about what's going on with continuity, in comics these days. What are the editors even doing? Mm-hmm.
Well,
I mean, we might not agree note for note, but it really sounds a lot like some of the stuff we've been saying on this show.
Yeah. Well, and then a lot of the stuff that Kirkman was saying, though, too, back in his interview, was talking about how a lot of the mainstream books at Marvel and DC are just they're just too mature for all ages. Like books like that have Spider-Man or X-Men or Avengers, like all those books that are very well-known properties, you know, should be written for not all ages. And I think a lot of people take the term all ages to mean something that's dumbed down.
No,
it's not at all.
Not
at all.
Yeah.
When we read comics in the 80s, and mostly in the 90s, those are kind of all ages comics because everybody can enjoy them.
You read like the Dark Phoenix storyline, all that early Chris Claremont, John Byrne stuff that got a lot of people into X-Men, made X-Men the top-selling book that it is today. You can pick up that X-Men Essentials, you can give it to a kid, and they can read it. And I don't have any problem with kids reading that. I don't know if I can give a kid every X-Men book that's out now. You know? And that stuff's really mature. Just because it's quote-unquote all ages, you're absolutely right. It doesn't mean that it's dumbed down. It's not condescending. You know, but it doesn't need to be gratuitous. And that's
pretty much what comics have become. A lot of the mainstream comics are just, you know, the whole tragedy porn and the whole violence for violence sake and just, you know, the shock value. The shock value
that Mark Millar himself has said that comics themselves are too boring. Boyo, they need more shocks. Bucko. They need more shocks. It's the Mark Millerization of the modern comic book. And what goes on in comics now is the one-upmanship from one writer to another. Okay, you did this, now how do I top what you did? Mm-hmm. So that with each successive shock, you know, people go, oh, wow! And then, oh, I've got to read this book. And, oh, did you see what so-and-so did? When you do that, though, and the assertion has also been made that the comic books industry right now is skewing towards the long-time existing reader who got into it in the 80s and 90s. We're talking the 30-somethings, even the 40-somethings. Today's comics are written with those readers in mind. So then, you know, how do you get that next generation of reader in?
And by mentioning that, now we can segue into the fact that a third creator has come out within the same month to voice his own opinions and thoughts on comics, and that was Darwin Cook. And I'm sure it's been everywhere. You guys have seen it. If we remember to, we'll link the video from the Comic Book Syndicate that they put up on the internet because they interviewed Mr. Cook at a convention, and he had some pretty strong opinions about the big two comics.
Yeah,
like, you know. And just
what amazes me though is that the guy, he didn't say anything that was terribly. I didn't think it was terribly inflammatory. Mind you, some other creators kind of got on him about it, but what really got people started was again on Twitter and on message boards all around the internet. That some folks and it's not like Darwin Cook is a nobody. I mean, this is a guy who's done some really groundbreaking stuff. Of course, New Frontier. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why his Wonder Woman pitch never got accepted.
Then I want to get back to it in a bit because one of his big things is he was talking about how, you know, most of the big two comics they're not for all ages anymore.
No,
they're written for 45-year-old fanboys, which, you know, perverted. I think he said perverted. No, hold on. I think if I can find a line here really quick without taking up too much time. But I can't because I should have highlighted it. But a lot of people took exception to that. But he is writing for a more mature, or he's saying that the big two are writing for more mature fan base, which they are. They're you know, there's just he brought up you know, rape and like misogyny and just violence and just like all this stuff that you can find in a Justice League book.
Right. Oh no, the line you're talking about, it goes that a list of items, things that were going on in comics to cater to the perverted needs of 45-year-old men. Yeah. And then there was something else that he had said about, I don't want to see characters who've been straight for 60 years become lesbians overnight.
And I think a lot of people zeroed in on that statement. Right. And were trying to pick it apart. He did not mean anything.
No.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't trying to, I mean, it wasn't that he was being homophobic or anything of that sort. But, again, if you really think about what he's saying in the context of what's been going on in comic books, mm-hmm. you know,
And if he was talking about the Batwoman character, which I think he was talking about, this is a different Batwoman character.
Right.
The Kate Kane is different from the Catherine Kane that, was 60 years ago. So, and I'm going to back up the Batwoman character more than anybody.
Oh, yeah,
so.
Definitely. So, I guess the point that we're trying to make here, though, is that these criticisms that are coming out within the industry now of how the main two companies have been kind of shepherding their lines, their continuities, their books, it's not just us, the quote-unquote nerd in the comic shop who are complaining about it. You're getting that in the industry itself. Respected names in the industry, respected creators are saying the exact same things that we have been saying all along. And I'm not trying to say that we are these great prophets of comics and that we're vindicated here.
No, but it's just one of those things that for years, especially at the beginning, man, do we get shit on for calling this bullshit out? And people just either didn't want to accept it or just had never heard that opinion because maybe no one was talking about it.
But the reality is, though, the shit that we got, now, that same shit's being put on Kurt Busiek.
Yeah.
Same shit's being put on Kurt Busiek.
And Darwin Cook.
And other creators who are coming out and saying, come on, comic books don't need to be this way. I am astounded at the number of people who just take it so personally when you criticize superhero comics. Superhero comics, only in America do superhero comics occupy such a huge portion of the market. We've talked about this before when it comes to the European market, the Japanese market. Superhero comics are a niche outside of the U.S. Mm-hmm. Here in America, it's everything. It gobbles up everything in the North American market. Nowhere else. If you say this kind of stuff in other countries, people will probably agree with us. And actually, there have been some creators in other countries who have said the same thing about superhero comics here in America. So, this to me is just kind of like, it's me waking up in the morning and going, wow, I wasn't crazy after all.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people on the blog, linked us to this videos and to the Busiek stuff and what do you guys think about this? And I'm like, well, everyone who's on the blog knows that we've been saying this. And those people on the blog who follow us and who follow our videos, they, I think, feel the same way too. And I think probably there's a big fan base now of comics that are slightly relieved that it's not just us, that you see these top name creators coming out and speaking out against us, and it's not just us. And unfortunately, for it to be for anything to change, people like this need to come out and start speaking up about it.
Well, not only that too, but I mean, we've also said that not only speaking out, because in this country, seems like the louder you talk, you're going to find somebody else who wants to shout, who will shout louder than you and even shout you down. Again, we've said it before. We'll say it again. You got to talk with your money. You got to talk with your dollars. You got to talk with what you buy. You can't keep buying the same stuff, paying for it with one hand and then complaining about it. We've had time and again, and there's some viewers who seem to miss the point. Wasted potential. Great kid, love him. I love the fact that he watches a show and he goes through all the trouble of making videos to respond to some of our videos. For a while, I thought Wasted Potential was Edgar Wright. He looked just like Edgar Wright, but then, dude, you shaved your head and now you don't look like Edgar Wright anymore. But comes and says the reason people buy the comic books that they buy, even though they hate them, is because they want to stay caught up with their characters. They still want to be involved with the characters. Well, then if the character means that much to you and you want it to change, you got to learn to bite the bullet and let it go. And then the publisher has a reason to change. If you want more people to get into superhero comics, okay, if you don't like the way they are, you want them to be more accessible to others, you got to break the habit so that publishers know they need to do something new to bring in more readers.
Yeah, and one of the things that Elliot mentioned earlier that I want to bring up is that this actually happened a while ago, and we never really brought it up, but now that we're talking about Darwin Cook again, we can bring it up. is the fact that Darwin Cook actually proposed a 12-issue series aimed at young female readers.
A Wonder Woman.
A Wonder Woman series.
Yeah.
And now when I read about that, I'm like, that is fucking genius.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Wonder Woman only has one book. Mm-hmm. She's not Batman. She's not Superman. She's not the fucking Green Lantern. She always had one book. What would it kill DC to put Darwin Cook on there? You know,
and this was hot on the heels of New Frontier.
Yeah, it was a 12 issues. To me, like, that's a no-brainer. That's a no fucking brainer. And plus, I would read that other Wonder Woman book. Mm-hmm. I'm sure all the other people who were reading Wonder Woman would have picked that book up too, because Darwin Cook is a name, and they liked his stuff, and they would easily have picked up that book. Why DC? And he actually said that they could have not been more disinterested.
Yeah.
And I was like, my fucking, like, what is wrong? Like, how? Like, if he can't sell a book like that, that is a no-brainer. What the fuck? You know, you look at the stuff that's going on right now in comics, and all this shit that's getting greenlit. You know, we can't have a Wonder Woman all ages book aimed towards specifically female readers who we talked about before. Comic industry, we kind of need any reader that we can get.
The American comic industry is alienating female readers. Yes,
you know, but instead of getting an all ages Wonder Woman book, and even it just happened again with the manga proposal from the artist, who pitched a manga idea for Wonder Woman, an all ages book again. He did the Wonder Woman story in Wednesday Comics. I'm really sorry I forgot his name right now, but he pitched it and he put together this really nice pitches online, and DC turned it down. Again, like, that was just like the Darwin Cook thing. Like, I don't understand, why does DC not want to go after these readers? These are good artists. These are respected artists. The work is beautiful. Why would they turn down something like that and then give us another fucking Flash book? And not only another Flash book, then another Flash team book. You know, Speed Force. That's what we're getting later this year. You know why? Because Jeff Johns is their fucking golden boy, and he's up in the he's a creative control, right? So, you know, you have all these, you know, guys on the top. And, yeah, shit, you know, their stuff has got to be golden, right? Because they're high up at DC. Let's just greenlight everything that they do. Even though I don't get it.
And with that note, the fall of Jeff Johns is complete. You just heard it thud here on CCW.
I didn't mean it like, well, I guess, yeah, I mean, it's all been downhill since Blackest Night #8. But, I don't know, but it seems when, I don't need another Green Lantern Corps book. Right. You know, we have 3 Green Lantern books. Yeah.
Well, it's because, again, DC is doing the same thing that Marvel's done for forever. You get a winning formula, churn out something new. Just give us another version of it. People are reading the Green Lantern books. The Green Lantern books are selling. Let's get another one. That's why we have all these X books. That's why we have all these Avengers books. That's why you're going to be seeing more and more Justice League books. You got 2 JSA books now. You know, you have All-Star, you have JSA. You have all this stuff going on where, you know, it's just rewarding the publishers for... I hate to use the word mediocrity, but it's not being new. It's not being daring. It's not trying to try something new where you're offering something new that's going to, again, pull in newer readers. And that, I know that's going to come back to bite me in the ass later on because, you know, when I get asked to write, you know, a Kato spinoff for Dynamite.
The artist that I was talking about who pitched that Wonder Woman manga thing is Ben Caldwell. His proposal is online, and it looked beautiful. It looked great, and why this stuff gets turned down. And these are, it's not like Wonder Woman is not, she's an old character, but these are new spins on the character. I don't understand why they are being closed-minded. Is it because the Wonder Woman, we talked about before, is it because the Wonder Woman book doesn't make any money? So why put any more resources into another book that might not make money, even though that you can probably generate a whole slew of new fans for the character, and then funnel that into the regular Wonder Woman book.
Again, the whole thing with the Darwin Cook thing also astounds me because you could have easily collected that stuff in the trades, and that stuff's.
And I think that thing's gonna be a perennial seller
forever. Yeah, and it would be in print forever. I mean, just like New Frontier is forever. You're always gonna find New Frontier on your bookshelf. They made a friggin' direct-to-video DVD. Yeah,
and an Absolute Edition. Yeah, and that's what that's kind of astounding that it's like that wasn't all ages book.
Yeah. I don't know.
And it was one of the best things DC's. One of the best things and one of the most fun DC stories that I had read in a long time, up to that point when I did read it, and it still holds up.
Yeah. To be the fly on the wall of an editorial.
And before we get any comments like, well, Kurt Busiek, he's past his prime. Darwin Cook, oh, that guy's really old. Oh, Robert Kirkman, he just writes indie books.
These are Eisner Award winners.
Yeah, they are, and they're really respected individuals within the industry. Mm-hmm. These are the same people who don't get Jack Kirby.
Right.
These are the same people who love Todd McFarlane and everything that he jizzes over. It's like it's the mentality is like you should at least be able to respect certain creators that came before that paved the way for your favorite creators.
That's true. My question is this: will there ever be a time when you can give Todd some love?
If he writes something good or draws something good, I'll give him credit for his Amazing Spider-Man that he drew. I won't give him credit for that crappy Spider-Man that he wrote and drew.
Yeah, that's true. That was pretty bad. Yeah. And then, of course, we'll see.
And I know I'm already going to get shot on for...
Don't say anything about the Todd!
Oh, God, no, you got to respect Todd McFarlane, man. Guy spawned best comic ever. He's been telling the same story for 200 issues. God damn. Get over fucking Todd McFarlane already. His toy company is going out of business. He did make some great fucking toys in the beginning. I will say this. He was a pioneer when Image started. He was a pioneer in the toy industry. The toy industry, American toy industry, owns a lot to Todd McFarlane.
Yeah.
I will give him props, but that shit's in the 90s. No, now what does he do? He can't even ink stuff anymore. He half writes stuff. He's playing with these old baseballs that are worth shit now that he paid millions of dollars for.
Sounds like somebody's living in the past.
Yeah.
Contemporize. That's for all you Todd McFarlane fans out there. Anything else?
No. I just hope that this is just like all the Todd McFarlane fans just stop watching the show so I never have to fucking hear them talk about Todd McFarlane again.
You're poking an angry bear again. You're poking it every time. That haunt video we keep getting.
I know.
People keep yelling at us.
It's nothing new.
Yeah.
It's nothing new. That thing's been up there for months. Comic's still terrible. It's even more terrible now because Ryan Otley is not even on the book anymore. Sorry.
Speaking of terrible comics.
Yeah.
Army of Darkness, Ash Saves Obama is in trade. We forgot to mention this. And our trade paperback. Yeah, it's been out for a while. The trade paperback reviews things that you should look into. So
we should have brought that up in the trade review last week.
We should have brought it up. But we
were trying to think of like good trades to recommend to people. and
yes, and everybody's been asking me, Elliot, it's the worst kept secret in comics right now.
For people who actually give a shit.
People who actually give a shit. If you knew where to look. In fact, I even said it on the blog in comments once. I am writing the Army of Darkness monthly when it relaunches from Dynamite. So that it is. So for those of you who actually watch this video all the way to the end, there's your reward.
Yeah, we can't wait to see like the numbers for this video because there's actually a graph that tells us like when people
drop off
during a video or when people rewatch certain parts of our video.
Yep.
I'm guessing probably around the time where I started, shitting all over Todd McFarlane. That's a big spike. It's gonna keep going down and down and down, or it might just. It might go up because people are like, it was just the way I just saw it. I gotta go back. He did say it. Oh my God! He ripped the Todd McFarlane.
It's gonna go on the image boards. Next thing you know, be on the image boards. People,
have you guys seen these guys ripping on Todd McFarlane in The Haunt, the best comic book creator and the best comic in the industry? I'll throw Spawn in there too, even though it still sucks harder than The Haunt. Gotta respect Todd McFarlane.
I can't top that. I can't top that.
All right, let's just end it here.
Your angry fanboy voice is better than mine.
Yeah, no, everything I do is better.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, folks, so we'll end this on that. We look forward to your comments.
Not particularly
responses.
on this video.
Yeah, really.
But, yeah.
Be sure to check out the CCW TV blog where we link to it with every video every week. If you don't want to comment here on the channel, come on over to the blog and let us know what you think. This is more than just us.
You McFarlane fans, stay on the YouTube boards, please.
Yeah. This is a conversation between us and you, our fellow comic book fans. So, until next time, this has been Elliott Serrano and Jose Melendez coming to you from Dreamland Comics, www.dreamlandcomics.com, to answer yet another question, a very commonly asked question. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.